did your interest in, because it's like, oh, a lot of people love movies, but everyone's like, oh, I want to make a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So where did that kind of start for you?
Yeah, because people aren't crazy. That's
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're finding that out now.
Yeah, so I grew up watching a lot of old movies. My parents loved television from the 60s, Dick Van Dyke, Andy Griffith. And I also grew up on tons of Westerns, like John Wayne, and older comedy, Three Stooges, Marx Brothers. We didn't really watch much silent stuff. I didn't do that until college, but I love Chaplin, so it's worth saying in the same breath as Marx Brothers. But so I think I only bring that up because I think that exposure to older films and their style, their simplicity, there wasn't all of the kind of glitz and glamour and I don't know, just all the CGI and everything like that you get today, the high-paced action and editing. It was much more like seeing a stage production with a camera rolling. Yeah. And obviously, if anybody's film buffs out there, and I know that there were great films at the time using techniques that we still use today, but I think for the most part, it was a lot of stationary camera, let the actors do their lines and just be in the moment, and long takes and stuff like that. And that's just a different viewing experience than what people are used to today. And because of that, I think as I started to get older, I really fell in love with film because I had this base of what watching a movie was in my mind. And then as I added to that more modern tendencies, modern techniques, just kind of all of the things that film is today as far as the grandiose stories and the way that they're edited and shot, I started to really fall in love with the craft because of that. But before that whole transition took place, because a lot of that was in high school as I started to watch more R-rated movies, a lot of the movies that are more prestigious, winning awards, and just made by really, really talented filmmakers are a little bit, usually PG-13 or rated R. And when I was a kid, obviously those weren't movies that I was watching. And so that's kind of the up until the end of high school path of what my love of film looked like. But then for this, like you're saying, crazy idea of like, well, who grows up and wants to actually make movies? When I was in middle school, I found on my computer that you could use Windows Movie Maker. I don't know if you ever messed around with that.
No.
But it was the first time where I put it together in my head that someone was making the movie. As silly as that might sound, because it's something I tell my kids all the time now, because I'm used to that. That's the world I live in. And but I think when you're a kid, you just think a movie's like a piece of magic and it just exists and you watch it and you don't think about that anyone could actually do it. And so got my hands on Windows Movie Maker. We had some old DV recorder cameras, and so I'd go out with friends. I'd make up stories that we could film, usually just comedy things that would be funny. And it was interesting because over time of making these with some of my close friends, my brother would do it with me a lot too. I was always like, why am I always the only one who wants to like come up with these stories? Come on, guys. And I just thought everybody was kind of being like lazy, when it was like, no, it's because I had this base love of like taking a video camera or film camera or anything like that and putting a story together and making it funny or making it having it do some sort of technique that I saw in film, and just starting to realize that was actually a possibility. And then some time went by and I didn't think too much about that anymore, of like, I'm going to go do that someday. But then at school, in high school, as I was going into my junior year, and you had this as well, but there was vocational school to be able to learn kind of trades, which I think maybe traditionally has been for more mechanical, nursing and stuff like that.
Not really technology based, more like mechanics, machining, building trades, stuff like that. But.
Right. So, but for us, there was a video production one, and it kind of clicked in my head. I love doing this. I've been doing it just because I enjoy it. I could actually do this for a career.